Greetings and salutations, YouTube. It's time for January's comics review. I picked up a little batch at Heroes at the beginning of January. I think there was only 5 issues or so really not a lot going on for January compared to, what had happened in previous months. There had been some big, I think with Christmas and stuff, there were some extra issues and stuff like that. So this one was a little more thin this month, but still some stuff to go over. So first up, issue 124. Of the ongoing Ninja Turtle series. This is one of those silent issues. There's no talking at all, so it's basically at the end of the last issue, Hob had lured the little weasel mutants to him, and they had gone missing. So this issue is kind of the Turtles and all the Splinter Clan upset about the missing weasels. So they're outside putting up posters, missing posters, that stuff, kind of canvassing the neighborhood a bit before they go back to the dojo, and everything's downcast. Everybody's kind of sad. They're lighting candles everywhere, and everybody else in Mutant Town seems to be lighting candles. So I don't know. It's around Christmas time. It's snowy. I don't know if there's a storm that's gone on that's knocked out power or whatever, but it's really dark and candle lit and kind of almost like a vigil in a way. And then I always forget Alopex. That's her name. Raph's girlfriend, Alopex. She gets some inspiration all of a sudden and takes off out into Mutant City and goes around the neighborhood canvassing people if they've seen the weasels and whatnot. While she's doing that, we kind of see that ghost spirit of Oroku Saki kind of overseeing her journey and influencing events along the way. We also see a team of new mutants moving into the mutant town, and they look like the turtles, but they're all covered in robes and stuff, and they look more like frogs rather than turtles. So I'm not sure what's coming on that front. We don't really see much going on with them, only that they've arrived. And in the end, Alopex finds a note pinned to something with a knife, I think, that says, Hob has the weasels, they're safe and they're happy, don't worry about it, sort of thing. So some friends show up at the Splinter Clan with pizza, and all of a sudden the mood is lifted. Everybody's enjoying each other's company. They're happy that at least Hob has the weasels, but at least they're safe and sound, and they don't really have to worry anymore about it. So it ends on an upbeat note, but at the same time, we don't know what these frogs are all about that have arrived in town. So I'm sure we'll find out soon enough. Biggest of the batch, as usual, is the Transformers selection. There were 3 issues. 3. First up was issue 11 of the Beast Wars saga. And if you'll remember, the Maximals had just, Optimus Primal had decided the Maximals are going to take it back to the Decepticons, and they planned an attack on the Decepticon warship. I forgot the name of it. And so they had just showed up outside. And so this issue is kind of that battle unfolding. There's scores to settle. Megatron makes an appearance, and him and Dinobot, the former Decepticon, or Predacon, I guess it is, they fight. Nyx and Rat Trap, the 2 smallest of the Maximals, infiltrate the ship for some reason to try and shut down the defenses or something like that, I think they're doing. But Tarantulas notices them and engages them, so there's that fight going on there. Terrorsaur takes on the Autobot that was up in one of the pods up in the atmosphere that the Decepticon Scold had kind of not rescued, but brought out of stasis, and then they formed a bond, even though one was a Predacon, one's a Maximal. Terrorsaur kills Razor Beast, and so Scold loses her mind and kills Terrorsaur, but still it doesn't seem to help her make the switch from leaving the Predacons and going over to the Maximal side. She still regroups with Waspinator and kind of is in the Predacon kind of mix sort of thing. So and so the battle hasn't quite concluded at the as the issue closes. There's it's still kind of ongoing, and it says the Maximal Strike Back concludes next issue. So I'm assuming the next issue, issue 12, is going to be how that fight kind of all ends up going in the end. Yeah, I'm saying end a lot of times. Next up, Transformers Shattered Glass, issue 5. This is the Transformers series where things are backwards. The Autobots are actually the bad guys, the Decepticons are the kind of good guys, and all the color schemes on the robots, of course, are all different. So I specify that every time just so you know what I'm talking about. You're going, what the hell? Things are backwards. That's because they are. So in this one, Goldbug was trying to pump Starscream for information on the connection to the Titan. the Titans to Metroplex, and he was taking things a little too far. Jetfire was trying to get this information while also saving Starscream's life because they were friends. But Goldbug doesn't really care about that. He doesn't care about Starscream, and he's specified that Starscream's not getting out of this alive anyway, so you may as well just go and do what you got to do. So in the end, Goldbug does end up destroying Starscream, and that causes Jetfire to finally go over the edge. He pounds the shit out of Goldbug, and goes on a bit of a rampage. Megatron flies in and stops it from happening and kind of talks Jetfire down. And so as Jetfire attempts to flee with Starscream's body to take him to a safe place or give him a proper burial, whatever the hell he's going to do. But Megatron intercepts him and takes Starscream's body away and kind of defuses the situation. And Jetfire specifies to Megatron, make sure you do what's right for Starscream, right? So, and then in the end, we see a mysterious robed figure approach a communications device, and it ends up being Wheeljack, although his name, it's called Slicer or something like that. He's called by a different name, but it's Wheeljack, and he's reporting into Ultra Magnus on what's going on, and it looks like there's a power struggle between the Autobot warlords. Ultra Magnus is obviously one that we found out now. The other two, or three, I guess, are Goldbug, Optimus Prime, and Prowl. So this Wheeljack character and Ultra Magnus talk about whoever ends up gaining this Titan link that Starscream was, this information on how to control the Titans, whichever the Autobot warlords gain this information is going to be the one who controls basically everything on Cybertron. So obviously there's not only the Decepticons that are causing a pain in the neck for the Autobots, but within the ranks there's all this dissension, and it's a struggle for power, right? And the key to the Titans is the biggest way to get that power. So we'll see what happens next issue. Next up, issue 38 of the regular Transformers series. And in this one, Ultra Magnus has been taken captive by Megatron and his Decepticon forces, and he's being interrogated. Megatron has a Titan Spark. I'm not sure what he's planning on doing with it. But as the issue rolls along, RC, Smokescreen, Windblade, and who is the other one? Somebody else. Plan a rescue mission to spring Ultra Magnus from Decepticon captivity, and to do so, Smokescreen pops in to visit Swindle, who's kind of plays both. He's basically a Decepticon, but he plays both sides. He's more of an information broker and out for himself. And Smokescreen knows that Swindle knows a way into the Senate chamber where they can make a rescue attempt on Ultra Magnus, but Swindle's kind of like, you're abusing your relationship with me a little too much. So there's tension within that relationship, but the Autobots do see this rescue attempt through and end up infiltrating the Senate chamber, where they are able to rescue Ultra Magnus, but they're not able to do anything for all the other Autobots there, many of which have been in captivity for a long time and are in really bad shape. At the end of the issue, they make their escape from the Senate chamber and are fleeing, but I think it's Six Shot maybe or somebody like that, and a bunch of Decepticons are like kind of laying in wait for them or giving chase. And as the issue concludes, I think there's about to be a chase and a fight scene that's going to go down as Smokescreen leads this charge away from the Senate with their Ultra Magnus back in the ranks, sort of thing. So we'll see how that all ends up in issue 39. Okay, next up is G.I. Joe, and there's only one thing to report here. The fourth of the current batch of yearbooks that they're issuing in the recent months. They're on a real roll with this. So this one, it doesn't have, I think they wrapped up the whole description of how the TV show came around and the history of that. They don't have that in there anymore. There's basically 3 sections of this yearbook. One, first is some pages from a comic from back in the original series back in the 80s, where a couple of Joes try to infiltrate Cobra Island, and a new Cobra recruit named Crocmaster is laying in wait and sticks his crocodiles, his alligators on them, whatever. And at the same time as the Joes are trying to infiltrate Cobra Island, the October Guard is also trying to do so. So it's kind of a coming together of them as kind of, even though they're foes, they come together as allies to see their mission through to Cobra Island, sort of thing. The middle section of the yearbook is just basically a summary of what happened over that year, back whatever year it was, back around that time of that story. So it started off with Destro being arrested, and then a false Destro kind of impersonating him. The Joes rescuing him, so a kind of uneasy truce going on there that benefited both sides. Cobra Commander reuniting with his son and laying down his evil ways in order to gain back his son's trust. Then his son Billy, his journey to become a ninja and actually teaming up with the G.I. Joes. The whole Cobra Terror drone episode where they started selling those to countries as a defense network, but took advantage of these places. And a bunch of other stuff. All that happened through that year. So lots of stuff went on. And then the last is just, I'm not sure if this is actually from an old issue or if this is something they wrote new in an old style, but basically Scarlet and Snake Eyes are on a road trip to go somewhere, and they stop in on a desolate highway at a rest stop, and while there, Scarlet goes off to go somewhere else to pick something else up and leaves Snake Eyes in the store, and then there's a robbery attempt, and of course Snake Eyes being Snake Eyes defuses this situation in only a way that Snake Eyes can. So, and then and that's pretty much it. So a lot of reading, as it's pretty thick, as the yearbooks tend to be. But what I really liked about it is I actually have this yearbook from back in the day. This the cover of this one is an ode to the yearbook that was made for that year, which you can see Killer Croc there. That's the original one. So I actually have that issue. So it was kind of cool. I saw the cover of this and I'm like, oh, that looks familiar, right? So pretty cool, the link to the past.